Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with Linda. I'm Linda Daniels, and you are now inside Northampton Wolves. Thank you for showing up. That's going to be our mantra: show up, but don't shut up. And I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But happy Veterans Day, and a salute to all of the veterans out there. Veterans Day comes along every year. It kind of moves. It's one of those moving holidays as far as the day, I think, but it means free parking in Northampton. So if you are around town this afternoon, remember that you don't need to put your quarters in the parking meters. It is free parking all day, but not in the parking garage. And there are a number of little parades and events that have been happening over the weekend and today. So if you have a chance to participate in that, I hope you will. You all know that my husband served in the Navy during Vietnam, and on Veterans Day, he spends a lot of time watching events and movies about submarines. So again, thank you to all of the veterans out there. No matter when you served or where you served, we really appreciate the work that you have done and hope that we can help when you need it. We are obviously not where we thought we would be or hoped that we would be. And over the next few weeks, we'll probably talk a little bit more and more about it because it's a lot to process and a lot to take in. And Kate and I have been talking a lot about working things out in our own heads. And we kind of have two different approaches to it. So we're really trying to balance each other out. And I tend to be pretty optimistic most of the time and feel like right now is the time when we need to recover and rest and prepare. And we will not be able to control everything that happens, but we also don't need to be afraid now of what might happen. That's not a good use of energy or of your well-being. What we really need to do now is take care of ourselves, take care of our family, and take care of our community in whatever fashion we can. It's it's basic kind of mental health. If you keep yourself feeling all the feels, good or bad, you can then spread that out into the world. And so that's sort of what we're going to be doing and trying to do here in the store. We're going to take care of your knitting like I always have. We're going to hopefully tempt you with some new projects and crocheters. We're not going to discriminate. And hopefully help you with all of the problems that you may come into, but also help you stay in that positive kind of place. Georgia, who works for me, came in last week, and she said that she needed a new project. Not that she didn't have anything to knit, but nothing that she was knitting felt really right. And that really resonated with me too. I felt like, yeah, this is the time maybe to start something brand new, fresh, and something energizing. So think about that as well. Besides the fact that we are now entering the pre-holiday time, which I hope doesn't mean that you are scrambling to make gifts, but I will be showing you a lot of small projects that you can easily get done. And the scary thing about this year is that Thanksgiving comes very, very late. It's November 28th, I think, which means we slip right into December. So by the time December 1st comes along, we're all going to be feeling the crunch, I think, pretty incredibly. So November, even though it's November 11th, November right now feels to me like it's taking forever to get through because we have these long 2.5 weeks before we even get to Thanksgiving. Never mind that we can't seem to get a freeze. We haven't even had a good frost yet. So the weather is screwy, and the timing seems to be off this year. But it will come. I was knocked flat on my back this weekend. I caught a cold on Friday, and the difference between how I felt Friday morning and how I felt Friday afternoon was incredible. I apologize to the people in the class that I was teaching, because in the middle of the class, I started like a faucet and didn't really know that I had as bad a cold as I did. And by the time I got home Friday night, I could barely make it to bed. So I stayed undressed in my pajamas all weekend on Saturday and Sunday, basically in my recliner, sleeping and knitting, sleeping and knitting, sleeping and knitting. So I actually got a lot done.
A lot of sleep.
A lot more sleep than normal, that's for sure. And finished a number of projects. I'm not even going to show them all to you because I don't want to scare you. But but I have the tail end of it now that I'm sure you can hear in my voice and just a little bit in my head. But I don't get sick very often, and I'm grateful that this one didn't hang on forever. It came and it went really, really fast. But one of the things that I did get done was this Encore Mega blanket. And this I have made for a customer who is gifting it to a niece who's having a baby. And I haven't talked about Encore Mega in a very long time. This blanket pattern is free, and it comes in both a baby blanket size, which is this one, and what I would call a lap size, a size that is bigger. This is 60 stitches, and then the bigger one has 90 stitches, so it's about a third bigger than this. And Encore Mega is a great yarn to use for something like this, especially a baby blanket, because it is an acrylic and wool blend. It's machine washable and dryable, and it knits very quickly. Now this is knit on a size 13 needle, which you've heard me say before, starts to be at the limit of what's comfortable to knit with. But it is full of cables, and they're all pretty simple. This is a stitch out and then a stitch in. This one has a really fun bobble, and this one just moves 2 stitches out and then in. So none of the cables are difficult. It is charted and written, and easy to follow. Encore Mega comes in lots of different colors. This particular size only takes 5 skeins, and you have a great blanket. I think for a baby, this might even qualify as a weighted blanket because it does have some heft to it, being done in that super chunky weight yarn. But it is a fun one to do, if you're looking for a quick baby blanket that's still really interesting to knit. So it will keep you kind of involved in the knitting, so that it seems to go fast. And I find that with every cable pattern, once you start in the cable pattern, because you're checking off rows, the whole knitting process seems to go much, much quicker than normal.
A few people said they're glad you feel better, and I think Jess is on.
Yes. Hello. Okay, so with Thanksgiving coming so late, Christmas seems to be coming so early. I mean, have you noticed that every year, the news keeps talking about retailers trying to push the Christmas decoration and the Christmas shopping earlier and earlier. But this year, it doesn't seem like it's just the retailers. It's like everybody wants to put their Christmas decorations up. Eileen Fisher, who is right across the street from us, actually semi-decorated their windows with Christmas lights and some greenery. And I'm sort of like, what
about Thanksgiving?
Exactly. I'm not sure I'm ready to jump on that bandwagon exactly yet. What are you guys thinking? Are you putting up Christmas decorations? I just need to think about the Christmas knitting first before I can actually think about the Christmas decorating. But I want to know how soon. I know there's a lot of you out there that absolutely love Christmas and that decorate already, or decorate on Thanksgiving. My son and his daughter, his family, put the Christmas tree up right after Thanksgiving. I've always been a December 1st kind of girl, where that's early enough. And especially since we still always put up a live tree, I often feel like I don't need a fire hazard by Christmas Day.
Eileen says she's already got Hallmark movies saved.
Yes, that I can get, because Hallmark is already blasting out the Christmas movies, and that can really put you in the spirit. But we are thinking more about the Christmas knitting that needs to be done. And I guess if you're going to knit for Christmas, then you're also going to wrap for Christmas. So we can have presents all over the place. I wanted to mention again very briefly this shawl. And I have thought this about 100 times and never followed through. But one of you very kindly, and I just can't remember your name, told me the pronunciation for this shawl. This is the one that is spelled C-A-O-L, and it's from the Caledonian Wool Company that you can get free on Ravelry. But she told me that it is pronounced as cool, C-O-O-L. And I was so happy to actually have the pronunciation for that. So I meant to thank you last week and forgot, so I am thanking you this week. You know who you are. So thank you so very much. Cool. And a number of people have started this and are having a lot of fun with it. Like I said, it's an easy, quick, kind of self-directed knitting pattern. But one of the other things that we got in last week that I didn't show you were these two new hat samples. Both of these come to us from Euro Yarns, from it done out of the Fiesta, which I did show you when we first got them in. And this is this color. And look at this pom-pom.
I love it.
Have you ever seen a more perfect pom-pom?
It looks like funfetti.
Yeah, that would have been a good name for it. I love the way this yarn just kind of folds out when it's cut like that and made into a pom-pom. So this is a simple rib design. So both the inside and the outside look the same. Oops.
Tuck it into the...
You don't need to tag on it. And it's got a fold up edge like that.
So it's a little extra warm on your forehead.
Extra warm, adding that extra layer around the ears. And then this one is this color. And this can't get any simpler, because look at this. It's knit flat, and then you seam it together. So it makes a very small seam on the inside, but it's straight needle. So if you're a beginner, this is the perfect beginner hat project. Big needle, squishy, fun yarn to knit with. The fit is great. And it's on a straight needle, so you just knit back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
You're ready to go ice skating.
You're ready. If you ice skate, some of us are afraid of broken bones, but that's this color. And I think it looks great in garter stitch as well. And boy, it feels really, really good. So I brought over the two colors that the hats are knit in. This one always reminds me of Halloween, but it knit up.
It doesn't look like Halloween.
It doesn't at all.
I like it.
And this one with the blues and teals, I'm surprised when I see this yarn in the skein. I think that there's a lot of white.
I know, right?
But when it's knit up, there's a lot of color. I'm really surprised by how much color there is once you knit this, because I think every color, it happens like that. It looks like there's a lot of white in the skein, but actually when it's knit, it's a lot more color that shows than the white. And again, this is a one skein, big needle project, so it's going to go really fast. And if you haven't noticed, Kate has been doing a really great job of putting up the, they call them show notes. So she'll list the pattern, and are you putting links to the yarn on our website so that you can see, if you click on those on YouTube,
Yeah.
Does it go on Facebook?
No, I can only do show notes on
YouTube.
with links.
Yeah.
So easy to do.
So remember, our YouTube channel is inside Northampton Walls, but it'll take you right to the yarn and be able to get you the pattern, and you can get going with that. One of the other things that I got done this weekend was I finished, and I'm going to put finished in quotation marks, because I started knitting Andrea Mowry's framework cowl. She did this framework pattern as the Rhinebeck sweater this year, and because she liked the design so much, she actually turned it into a cowl as well, which is what this started out as.
Oh.
I started to make the cowl, and it's knit in the round so that it is reversible, and that means it's also double thickness. And once I got this far, I was like, I'm not going to make this a cowl. I'm not going to finish this. It's too slow of a knit and too intense. So I was fortunate to be have just enough done to make it a hat. And because it didn't have a bottom edge, I decided to hem it and to knit with something softer, because I was using the Patagonia, which is a rustic wool. It's not a superwash, and around the face that can sometimes be a little bit itchy, especially right here around your ears. And so instead I had a leftover skein, part of a leftover skein of some cashmere blend. So I just picked stitches up along the edge and knit about 2 inches and folded it up and sewed it down. It means that I don't have a really crisp fold line here. It's kind of a mush rounded edge, but it did turn into a great little hat. One that has kind of a top puff, gather,
Yeah.
something like that, but it works.
It's stylish.
One of the classes that I scheduled on our website is, I was calling it the pinwheel sweater, because as soon as that happened, Malbrigo came out with this, what they're calling the Molino Beanie. Can you see that pattern?
I like it.
It's similar. It's not the same, but it is similar, but it is color work, and it gives the same effect. Now this, because it's written as a hat pattern, they also did a cowl pattern for it. This is the hat that I'm going to do as the class. So you will knit in the round, you'll work with the chart, you'll work with color, and anytime I teach a color class, I teach you how to knit with both hands. And we got a lot of the Dos Tierros in. That's the yarn that this pattern is written for, in some really brilliant color combinations. There's these two that I just went over and pulled some stuff off the shelf. Gosh, look at that one. This teal.
Now I can see it.
It's a really deep blue teal with that multicolor. And then
pop to
this one, guess who?
Me. It's
So
pretty.
again, when you do something like this, you want really sharp contrast, really deep contrast to the best effect. Now, there is something to be said for things that don't have a lot of contrast. It just gives you a completely different look. I had a man come in this week who asked me to help him put together a project. He said he had knit long ago in his youth, and he wanted to knit a blanket for his daughter. And he had a list of sort of requirements. He wanted it to be in luxurious yarn that would last forever. And I sort of went, I'm not sure you can have both, because luxurious to me says some sort of natural fiber, which basically just means that it is more susceptible to things like moths. Acrylic, or an acrylic blend, will last forever and be less susceptible to that kind of damage, but it's certainly not as luxurious as all natural fibers. But what was striking about what he wanted was that He wanted to knit a blanket that he said would have a picture of two arms on it like this, like a hug. And he wanted it to be kind of white on white. So think a white background with an off-white hands, if you will. And if you get the right colors, that kind of thing can work. It's sort of like a double take. You kind of look at it and then look again to really see what the component is, what's going on with the contrast between those two colors. I like a high contrast, but that's not to completely eliminate the low contrast things as well. So all of the dosieros that I picked, sorry, to work together would fall into those high contrast ranges.
But if you put
Which
these
I think
two
would,
together,
I know, I was looking, I was like, which one?
that would be low.
These two would be less of a contrast. Your lines won't be as sharp. They won't be as sharply delineated because there's some of this color in here, but it'll still work. It'll still give you the pinwheel kind of effect. That's also something that I'm going to cover a lot in that how to use a color wheel class that we're doing in December. Just kind of thinking about color and why the color wheel is important and how it can help you. Let me take another drink.
So there's a pinwheel hat and there's a colorwork class.
The pinwheel hat is a colorwork hat.
Oh.
There's a color wheel class.
Color wheel class.
Okay. 2 years ago, I designed and knit this little cowl that I'm calling Cozy in Cashmere. And I did it for the Shop Hub. And this year we got in some really fun colors of the Sophia Cashmere. I love, love, love this yarn. This is another really quick Christmas present. I'm not going to last very long.
Uh-oh.
Christmas present. This also is done on a size 13 needle, and it's just stockinette stitch. You start with one color, and then the middle part is a little bit of color work where you're doing one stitch in one color and one stitch in another color for a couple of rows until you transition into the second colorway. You could do it all just in one color with 2 skeins of the Sophia Cashmere. You could do it as a straight line where you transition from one color to the next without this little intersection right here. It will all work, but it only takes the 2 skeins and it fits. I want the pink on my face. Perfectly. It's nice and close. It's, did I say this already? It's 30% cashmere, which makes it really, really soft. And it is a chained construction. The other 70% is a fine merino, so it's really very soft and it's very, very light. You need what I call a soft hand when you knit this. If you are a real puller or a tight knitter, you're probably going to need to go up to a 15 in order for the cowl to fit. Because if you knit this at all tightly, it's going to come out to be too small. But a size 13 needle for most of you. And then the colors that they came out with this year to kind of really jazz it up. Look at that combination. The colors are bright and happy. And if you need a pick-me-up, this is what I recommend. This goes back to make yourself happy. Treat yourself well. Give yourself permission to feel the feels and to make yourself happy. Because when you start with you, you can then go out into the community. And we're trying to do that. The Recovery Center, which is just down the street from us, has a knit and crochet group, and we've been working with them to collect both needles and hooks and give them yarn so that they have some stuff to work with. So when you feel like you're in the right place, you can then reach out and solve some of the problems that are surrounding us and our community. So if you have yarn or needles that you want to get rid of, we're happy to be that middle person and take those donations and pass them along. But this makes me really, really happy. And there are other color combinations too. These two, this pink and this blue, this is more like a periwinkle than a blue. And this bright yellow, oh, not many people can do that yellow.
Put it on the bottom.
But
put the green on top.
It can work.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a fun color. When I was looking at the color card to place the order, I just said to Anita, it'll make the shelves look terrific.
I don't know why everyone's so afraid of yellow.
I know, because nobody's afraid of gold, and they have the best brown.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, all fall we have been talking about how it's so hard to find brown in anything, but they got it right in this Sophio cashmere.
So cool.
This brown is rich without being too green, too yellow, too off. It's just right, really just right. So we have good inventory in that. The pattern is free when you buy the yarn, and I wrote it for both knitters or ta-da, crocheters as well. So you can have either one when you so desire. We've got two people in the shop who are visiting us for the very first time, Betsy and Rosemary, and they just scooted back downstairs. I was going to interview her, but she is wearing a, what's the name of it? Shift. A shift shawl. This is the cold.
Yeah.
A shift shawl that she made, and she was so happy with how it came out. One of her very first projects. She's making 3 more. And she's just so thrilled. So she sort of energized me today. So I thank her very much for the enthusiasm and the happiness. And there she is, Rosemary. Come on over here and show off your shift. I was just telling. All right, give it to Kate. She'll show it off.
It's so cozy. You use what yarn?
Yeah.
So
she just used 4 colors, but
oh
we're sending kudos to her for one of her first projects that came out so very, very well. Really, really happy
fills up the
with
whole
that.
Screen.
And this is, this is a more subtle contrast in color than what I've been talking about, yet it still really, really works. So don't be afraid of color. Do not be afraid. All right.
We're at 12:59.
Good. That is good.
We have somebody, Terry says it's too early for Christmas decorating, and Decker says, I'm starting decorating this weekend. Everyone's got their own.
Everybody's in their own place, and we're happy to have you in our place when you are here. So hopefully I will be on the mend, which I am, but back to my regular energy level starting on Wednesday. We are open on Sundays, remember, from 1 to 5. We've got a lot of classes that I threw up for December, lots of classes in January. So if you're ready to think about classes, visit the website and you will be able to pick and choose, hopefully something that you're interested in doing, and join a class, which is a really fun place to be. I gotta tell you, we had our first class for the cloud sweater. It really isn't dementia. It isn't. It isn't dementia.
It matches you.
And it was a great class. So I'm really looking forward to all the rest.
Stress brain is
Yes,
real.
yes. It is. All right, you know the drill, you guys. It's Monday afternoon. Go knit something. Bye.